A bolt of lightning strikes a dark forest, illuminating the area as the divine tree and Panis step through a crackling wall of lightning. Panis wipes sweat from her face, sensing danger. The divine tree explains the lightning barrier kills anyone weaker than a third-order transcendent and even injures fourth-order beings, calling it a perfect defense. To protect Panis, he wraps her in roots, which she finds surprisingly snug. I feel like I am third-wheeling here. The divine tree lunges forward, dashing at the speed of sound to dodge the lightning. Though even at this speed, he looks small compared to the massive strikes. He winces as a bolt hits him but summons a golden lightning spear, hurling it into the sky to disperse the storm clouds and clear a path. Panis watches in awe as the divine tree asks her to guess his strength. She confidently guesses he's at the middle stage of the fourth order, but he smirks, teasing her for being wrong. For 3 days and nights, they fly towards Dragon Island, with the divine tree growing impatient. Panis warns him of the dragon's power and mentions an ancient dragon rumored to be as strong as a god. Unfazed, the divine tree declares he won't back down, inspiring Panis to promise to stay by his side, though her words come out more romantically than intended, making her blush. Bro really got that overpowered tree man Riz. Meanwhile, in the elven forest, the elf queen summons her son. Worried about a powerful dark elf and missing search teams, the elf prince vows to investigate. Elsewhere, the ancient tree summons the gods, including the war god, dream god, and nature god, to discuss a powerful being who breached the thunder barrier. The dream god and nature god agree to investigate, while the war god storms off in anger. At the same time, the divine tree and Panis continue their journey, ready for what lies ahead. After days of travel, the divine tree and Panis reach the ocean, nearing Dragon Island. Panis complains about the long journey, but the divine tree assures her they're close. 10 days later, the sea grows low, signaling their proximity. Panis notices destructive water spouts and urges a detour, but the divine tree charges straight into the maelstrom. Dude must not have a weather app installed the way he is charging in right now. Dragon Island appears behind the storm, concealed by a powerful barrier, which the divine tree destroys, allowing them to step onto the island. A stone dragon statue confirms their arrival, but a golden dragon, one of the 3 kings of dragonkind, attacks without warning. The divine tree blocks the attack and counters with a yellow lightning spear, which pierces the dragon's body. The golden dragon retaliates with a spiked tail, sending the divine tree crashing to the ground. But he emerges unharmed, mocking the dragon. The golden dragon accuses him of being part of a group that previously invaded, but the divine tree denies it. As the golden dragon prepares another attack, a red dragon intervenes, stating their grandfather wants to meet the divine tree. They are escorted to the dragon's nest, where countless hostile dragons stare at them. Before them stands the ancient dragon, a massive white dragon who apologizes for the earlier hostility, explaining that elves had invaded months ago. The ancient dragon then acknowledges the divine tree's power, finally expressing his willingness to cooperate. The ancient white dragon immediately recognizes the divine tree as an extraterrestrial being and senses his purpose, to form alliances for an impending battle. The dragon's spiritual power and perception far exceed others, leaving even the divine tree in awe. The ancient dragon states that in 1 year, the divine tree and Earth's creatures will face a powerful enemy. When the divine tree requests his assistance, the ancient dragon agrees without hesitation, surprising him. He explains that Dragon Island exists in a layer between the planet and the void, making it nearly impossible to find. Panis realizes why many races have failed to locate it and recalls the elves' invasion half a year ago, which caused heavy dragon casualties. The ancient dragon reveals his deep wounds, evidence of the enemy's strength, and explains that a more powerful force was behind the elves' attack. The divine tree asks for the ancient dragon's cooperation, but the dragon initially declines, irritating the divine tree. After some back and forth, the ancient dragon finally agrees to cooperate, leading the divine tree to a secluded spot for a private discussion. Nothing to see here. Just two homosexuals flirting with each other. Meanwhile, the other dragons turn their attention to Panis, commenting on her centaur form and leaving her uneasy. Back on Earth, an elf captured by humans is subjected to experiments. Flower Goddess uses her technique to connect with the elf's mind. Learning of an impending attack in 40 days, she and Yu begin planning a new battle strategy. On Dragon Island, the divine tree and the ancient dragon continue their discussion. The ancient dragon reveals he is dying from a fatal injury sustained in battle with the elves, a wound so severe that his survival is a miracle. He acknowledges the decline of the dragons and believes the divine tree's power will one day surpass even the gods. Swearing to defeat those who harmed the dragon race and the planet, the ancient dragon pledges allegiance to the divine tree. As their alliance solidifies, a blood-red hand tears through the sky near Dragon Island, signaling the arrival of a being of godlike power. The danger is imminent, and Dragon Island now faces a new, formidable threat. The ancient dragon opens its mouth, summoning a glowing golden orb filled with immense spiritual energy. The divine tree observes, recognizing it as the legendary dragon pearl, a rare and powerful artifact. The ancient dragon explains that the orb contains all of his power and offers it to the divine tree, stating that absorbing it will grant him the dragon's strength. Will he get a Dragon's Balls too? Find out up next on Dragon Ball Z. The bright light of the orb draws the attention of all the dragons on the island. The red dragon realizes her grandfather has made a monumental decision, entrusting the divine tree with the future of the dragon clan. The ancient dragon's choice is driven by his impending death due to severe wounds. Despite his efforts to heal, he worries about the dragon clan's future and the weakness of his grandchildren, seeing the divine tree as their only hope. Panis calls out, sensing the gravity of the moment. The divine tree hesitates but ultimately absorbs the dragon pearl, declaring his responsibility for the dragon clan's future. As the divine tree's power surges, a terrifying aura overwhelms the area, distorting space and shaking the island. The red dragon braces herself, sensing imminent danger. The god of war, Domu, arrives, declaring his intent to destroy Dragon Island. Panis and the red dragon recognize him as one of the three gods, and his presence triggers primal fear in Panis. Domu attacks, creating a red barrier that begins to envelop the island, sealing it off. Bro's aura points are off the charts. He unleashes his red demons, sending them to target the dragon nest, where the divine tree's aura emanates. The dragon clan, including many powerful transcendents, gathers to defend their home. Panis transforms into a bird to escape, but is knocked back by a red demon's attack. A golden blast of energy intervenes, striking the red demon and saving Panis. The red dragon urges Panis to return to the divine tree while warning her to be careful. Domun blocks their escape, declaring Dragon Island a sacrificial altar. He offers the red dragon mercy if she submits, but she refuses, calling on Panis to fight alongside her. Panis, though nervous, prepares for the life or death battle. As Domu charges a deadly sphere of energy, an unexpected attack forces him to create a barrier to defend himself. The attack continues, soaring into the sky, and Domu realizes only one being could pose a true threat, the ancient dragon. The White Dragon King appears, creating a fierce gust of wind as he prepares to attack. Gathering magical energy in his mouth, the ancient dragon unleashes a massive energy blast that covers the sky. Domu, undeterred, addresses him as the White Dragon King, eager to face his power. A massive pillar of energy erupts into the sky as the divine tree fully absorbs the dragon pearl. With the divine tree unable to act, the White Dragon King steps forward to confront the invading red demons. His glowing eyes lock onto Domu, the god of war, one of the planet's strongest foes. Kratos would like to have a word with you, little bro. Domu mocks the White Dragon King, surprised he is still alive. But the king vows to take him down, even if it costs his life. Domu charges, dismissing the king as weak, while Panis falls to her knees. Overwhelmed by Domu's sheer power, the White Dragon King endures a mountain-shattering punch from Domu, but counters with a spiritual arrow, grazing Domu and leaving him bleeding. Hovering midair, the king unleashes the legendary dragon sword technique, launching a barrage of blue blades at Domu. While Domu deflects most of the blades, several strike and instantly kill red demons. Enraged and drenched in blood, Domu summons a massive battle axe, the same weapon used to kill the Dragon King. The White Dragon King upgrades his attacks, firing more powerful blades, but grows visibly weary. He declares Dragon Island off limits to Domu, who swings his axe, vowing to cut the king in half. The clash between the axe and the dragon blade evaporates the surroundings, but Domu's axe pierces through, striking the White Dragon King's head. The king collapses, defeated, as Domu acknowledges his strength but claims victory. Doom really should have called his long-lost cousin, the Blue Ice White Dragon, to fight instead. Raising his axe again, Domu leaves a deep gash near the king's eye. The Red Dragon cries out, pleading for her grandfather's life, but the traitorous Black Dragon pins her to the ground. Domu's axe struggles to pierce the king's tough scales, and he mocks the king, testing how many more strikes he can endure. Drained and helpless, the White Dragon King suffers Domu's torment until Panis intervenes, shooting an arrow into Domu's neck and ordering him to stop. The battle rages on as the Dragon Clan fights against the relentless red demons, leading the charge. The Golden Dragon roars, desperate to reach the wounded White Dragon King, but a barrage of eye beams forces the dragons back. Frustrated, the Golden Dragon can't break through. Meanwhile, Domu glares at Panis, furious at her interference. With a single strike, he sends her flying, leaving her bloodied and motionless. The Red Dragon screams her name, helpless. Domu raises his axe to finish the White Dragon King until a golden light flashes. The Divine Tree has arrived, stronger than ever after absorbing the dragon's egg. With overwhelming force, he kicks Domu away, then rescues Panis, vowing vengeance. Brimming with power, he faces the invaders. The Black Dragon is stunned by his strength, while the Golden Dragon doubts he can stand against Domu. The Divine Tree admits he hasn't fully absorbed the eggs but refuses to let the king die. Accusing the gods of corruption, the Divine Tree meets Domu's dismissal with sheer dominance, moving faster than Domu can react. He intercepts the next attack, stopping it with one hand, shattering the ground beneath them. The battlefield falls silent, a Fourth Order stopping a Fifth Order strike. Impossible, or is it? The Golden Dragon is in disbelief. Domu, stunned, realizes his attack was effortlessly blocked. The Divine Tree smirks, unfazed. With a burst of golden light, he retaliates, sending Domu crashing into the earth. The Black Dragon panics. Domu struggles to rise, his once invincible body shaken. Call him a stray dog the way he was all bark and no bite. The Divine Tree stands tall, victorious, his power now surpassing even his Fourth Order rank. Domu hovers in the air, sensing the enemy is no ordinary foe. This battle is far from over. With a fierce roar, he swings his spirit-powered battle axe, unleashing a devastating attack. Meanwhile, the Black Dragon knocks the Red Dragon away with a tail strike. As Panis realizes this battlefield is too dangerous, the Red Dragon curses, admitting the Black Dragon is far stronger. But when Domu's overwhelming spirit energy surges, she knows she must retreat, following the White Dragon King's orders. As the White Dragon King roars for everyone to flee, the Divine Tree also commands a retreat. Domu is about to strike with full force. His axe radiates power, but something about the Divine Tree's reaction unsettles him. A thunderous explosion erupts, but from within the smoke, the divine tree shoots out faster, fiercer, eyes glowing. Man just turned Super Saiyan God Super Saiyan. Yep, still a mouthful. What was Toriyama thinking? Catching Domu off guard, the divine tree slams him into the ground. Domu quickly blocks, then grabs the tree's arm, grinning that down goes his enemy. He hurls the divine tree into the ground, following up with a relentless barrage of spirit-powered punches. The divine tree slips free, circling behind for a counter, but Domu catches the strike with ease. His power surges, golden beams of spirit energy radiating from his body. The divine tree struggles to hold its ground but is sent crashing into a mountainside. Domu holds a piece of its arm as proof of his dominance, but the divine tree regenerates instantly using its roots. Watching this clash, the White Dragon King is in awe. These two are beyond his comprehension. Domu, suspicious, connects the divine tree to an ancient legend, declaring it's no mere elf. The divine tree denies any connection but boldly claims it will surpass that ancient being, mocking this declaration for being the funniest thing he's heard today. Domu lost, summoning a massive, blazing spirit energy sphere. Spoiler alert, it was, in fact, not a joke. Panis and the dragons panic, as this attack could wipe out Dragon Isle entirely. The White Dragon King roars in desperation. His home, protected for centuries, is on the verge of destruction. Domu hurls the energy sphere at the divine tree. The tree counters with roots, but one by one, they snap under the sphere's force. The sky darkens, the battlefield falls silent except for one blinding point of light, where the divine tree, roaring with effort, struggles to hold the attack back. Then, the explosion erupts, engulfing the divine tree completely. The divine tree struggles beneath Domu's energy sphere, forced into the ground but still holding on. Its roots shatter, not being strong enough. Anger surges through it. In a desperate move, the divine tree transforms into the king of the black shell, amplifying its power to absorb and replicate attacks. The ground trembles. Panis, Red Dragon, and Golden Dragon watch in silent suspense. The energy sphere remains suppressed, leaving the divine tree unharmed. Panis is stunned and thought Domu had exhausted his power. But the divine tree reveals it hasn't even gone all out yet. Every shonen villain after getting their rear end beat be like, Domu laughs. That attack? Just a warm-up. He conjures multiple energy spheres, each growing larger. The White Dragon King realizes the attack is distorting Dragon Isle's magnetic field. This is beyond their control. Red Dragon urges Golden Dragon to break free and evacuate everyone. If they don't, Dragon Isle will be lost. Meanwhile, Black Dragon demands to know if Domu truly plans to destroy the island. Domu grins, of course he does. Seeing no way to win, the White Dragon King makes a final decision. He must reconnect with Dragon Isle's main body. He instructs Panis and the divine tree to hide in a secret refuge, a sanctuary he once used to escape enemies. Panis pleads for him to join them, but he refuses. Dragon Isle is his responsibility. He will fight until the end. The divine tree tries to stay, but the White Dragon King forcefully pushes it into the hidden space. As the chamber seals, the White Dragon King reassures them there's still hope. Even if Domu destroys Dragon Island, the dragons won't be defeated. Domu mocks his resolve, calling it pointless. But suddenly, the White Dragon King erupts with power, shaking the entire battlefield. The ocean churns as Dragon Isle itself lifts from the water, revealing its true form as a colossal dragon. Dudes would fit right in as Digimon with all these forms. White Dragon King, now merged with the island's core, challenges Domu to one final battle. Domu frowns but ultimately scoffs. It won't change a thing. He moves in for the finishing blow. Inside the hidden space, the divine tree groans in pain. It urges Panis to escape now. The energy column shatters the barrier, forcing them to flee as their sanctuary collapses around them. The divine tree reflects on the broken promise of the White Dragon King. Dragon Island lies in ruins, a grim reminder of what's been lost. Enough to make a grown man cry. With the White Dragon King dead, the divine tree mourns the loss of his first true friend. Panis notices the divine tree's silence, and suddenly, his immense power erupts, filling the sky with dark, crackling energy. The Dragon Clan arrives. Crushed by their leader's death, the Golden Dragon vows revenge, his fury burning hot. Red Dragon warns him not to rush into battle, but the Golden Dragon won't back down. The divine tree asks if they know where Domu is, and in a surprising move, declares he will avenge the fallen, stunning everyone with his unexpected resolve. Panis warns that seeking revenge will provoke war with the gods and other powerful beings, leaving them with no chance to survive. But the divine tree scoffs at the gods, calling them imposters. He announces that he will replace them instead. Brogot family jewels of divine wood, literally, what a Giga Chad. The divine tree takes command, becoming the new leader of the Dragon Clan. He orders Red Dragon to gather the remaining dragons, with Panis acting as the communicator. Together, the divine tree and the Golden Dragon set off, while the ancient tree questions Domu's actions and warning of new enemies on the horizon. Domu kneels, enduring the ancient tree's immense pressure, but curses it silently under his breath. The ancient tree commands the hunt for the remaining dragons and orders Domu to stay within his territory. Domu, however, withholds crucial information about something that could rival the ancient tree's power, choosing to keep it to himself. As the Golden Dragon leads the way to the Elf Clan, the divine tree estimates that it will take them 15 more days to reach Domu. Without hesitation, the divine tree presses on, steeling himself for the upcoming confrontation. The divine tree creates a glowing green gem and instructs the Golden Dragon to consume it, boosting his speed for their journey. Bro really out here handing out dragon edibles like it's a rave. The Golden Dragon quickly swallows the gem, gaining incredible velocity as he leads the way. Meanwhile, Red Dragon carries Panis toward a hidden dragon refuge, seeking safety. Suddenly, a beam of energy strikes Red Dragon mid-flight, injuring her. Panis rushes to check on her condition. Suddenly, Panis feels an oppressive, dark presence and turns to see the god of nature, an immense beast radiating dark energy, standing silently and observing them. Dude is staring at them like a vegan eyes the ribs at the barbecue. The god of war had warned the god of nature about a powerful dark elf and had tasked him with investigating further. Red Dragon, determined to protect Panis, launches an attack against the god of nature, hoping to buy her enough time to escape. In a selfless act, Red Dragon sacrifices herself, urging Panis to flee and survive. 7 days later, the Golden Dragon finally arrives at Domu's territory, accompanied by the Divine Tree. The Golden Dragon informs the Divine Tree that if they maintain their current pace, they'll reach Domu's city in another 2 days. In Domu's territory, a massive ogre oversees the Spirit Stone collection, brutally punishing a young man for offering a small stone. The ogre strikes again in fury, enraged by the man's failure to meet the quota. Just as the ogre prepares to strike once more, a black root from the divine tree shoots out, slamming into him and sending him crashing to the ground. Golden Dragon descends and unleashes a powerful breath of fire, incinerating the ogres in one swift move. The divine tree steps forward, restoring order and putting an end to the ogre's reign of terror. While the Golden Dragon takes down the guards and surveys the spirit stones below, the divine tree lifts the monstrous frog, warning of Dom's wrath. With a swift punch, the divine tree declares it's here to settle scores with Dom. It demands answers from the monstrous frog in exchange for sparing his life. The elves watch nervously, unsure of what the divine tree's next move will be. The monstrous frog reveals Dom's plan to collect spirit stones for the Great War. When the divine tree asks how many strongholds remain, the monstrous frog answers, at least 3. The divine tree tightens its roots and slams the monstrous frog to the ground, throwing the knife as it continues its journey. This is what happens when your roots are thicker than your patience. Golden Dragon asks if they're heading straight for Dom, but the divine tree decides to check out more strongholds first. Meanwhile, the monstrous frog urges the villagers to help, but someone begins tormenting him. At the next stronghold, dark and eerie, a demon spider informs Dom of the destruction of 3 strongholds. Unable to leave, Dom sends his guards to protect the last slave city. The city suffers under the city lord, who indulges in lavish food while the people starve. His son ignores the suffering, and Dom's letter warns of possible attacks. Suddenly, roots burst from the ground, destroying the palace. The city lord denies the threat, even as his palace crumbles around him. The divine tree ignores the city lord's futile remarks, determined to see its mission through. Kasim, Domu's formidable mother, stands defiant despite taking a direct hit from the divine tree. She's bruised but refuses to fall, her unwavering strength evident as she swings her massive iron mace, brimming with confidence, toward the divine tree. However, the divine tree remains unfazed, not even moving or reacting to her powerful strike. Suddenly, a group of goblins bursts onto the scene, led by a nervous goblin leader who is immediately struck with terror as he sees the destruction caused by the divine tree. In an instant, the divine tree raises its roots from the earth, ensnaring the goblins and leaving them helpless, trapped by the overwhelming force. Kasim, too, finds herself caught in the divine tree's roots, battered and unconscious. As the roots tighten around her, the divine tree, with cold precision, plans to use her as leverage to manipulate Domu. A blue light suddenly illuminates the air, and a hologram of Domu materializes, speaking directly to the divine tree. Domu, acknowledging that he expected the divine tree's retaliation, reveals that Panis and the Crimson Dragon are now in his captivity. This declaration only adds to the tension, heightening the stakes of their impending confrontation. The divine tree demands Kasim be handed over as a gift, threatening Domu's family with dire consequences if he refuses. When the villain refuses to negotiate, you should kidnap his mom and blackmail him. Noted, Domu, though visibly furious, warns the divine tree not to harm his mother. Instead, he suggests they strike a trade, proposing a deal. The divine tree, its resolve unshaken, agrees to meet Domu at his city for the exchange, the promise of an intense battle hanging in the air. Meanwhile, Domu prepares for the inevitable confrontation, his anger palpable as he crushes rocks in his hand. At the same time, Panis, severely injured, prays desperately that the divine tree won't fall into Domu's trap, hoping for a turn in the tide. In Domu's city, the tension mounts as he stands ready, surrounded by beasts and soldiers awaiting the divine tree's arrival. The final showdown is fast approaching. From afar, the god of nature watches the unfolding events in silence, its presence looming over the conflict. The god of dreams approaches the god of nature, curious about its motivations and actions. The god of dreams asks why the god of nature had informed Domu about the divine tree's movements. The god of nature, in its cold and calculating way, responds that the final battle is near, and once it's over, it plans to claim Domu's land for itself. Masterful gambit, sire. Wait, who's supposed to be the villain again? Domu's palace looms on a rocky mountain, exuding a chilling aura as the divine tree and golden dragon arrive. Intent on killing Domu, Domu glares at them, his fierce stare matched by the monstrous roars echoing from below, sending waves of dread across the sky. With a mocking tone, Domu greets the divine tree, commenting on the reunion. Meanwhile, Kasim, seeing Domu, regains her confidence and urges him to kill the divine tree. The divine tree demands to know where Panis and the red dragon are. 2 green ogres pull a rope, revealing them bound tightly and covered in wounds, hanging like they're about to be executed. The red dragon, bloodied and unconscious, lies still while the golden dragon, furious at the sight of his sister, roars her name in desperation. Domu demands the divine tree release Kasim or he will kill Panis and the red dragon. Kasim mocks the divine tree, suggesting if he truly wants Panis to live, he should release her, only for a fast strike hits Kasim's face, drawing blood, fury rising. Domu grows angrier, generic, overcompensating for a small D and overdue for an ass whooping. Like pick a struggle dude, the divine tree coolly tells him these cheap tricks won't work and gives him 5 seconds to act. Panis, regaining consciousness, warns the divine tree to flee. She panics, fearing that failure will lead to a disaster. The red dragon, finally waking up, unleashes a fiery breath that burns through the goblins and cuts the ropes binding them. With quick reflexes, the red dragon grabs Panis with her tail and throws her toward the divine tree. Domu remains silent, realizing his advantage has slipped away. As Panis flies through the air, the divine tree extends its roots, catching her with ease. Panis screams, urging divine tree to run. Then, a glowing golden energy stone behind Panis activates, triggering a massive explosion. The explosion engulfs the area in blinding light, shredding the divine tree's roots. The red dragon crashes to the ground, coughing blood. The golden dragon rushes to catch her, desperate to help. Meanwhile, the divine tree's roots tighten around Panis and Kasim. Kasim's bones snap under the pressure, while Panis is left unconscious but alive. Enraged beyond reason, Domu leaps toward the divine tree, shattering the ground beneath him in his fury. The divine tree charges forward with lightning speed, and the two collide mid-air in a cataclysmic explosion that distorts the very fabric of space. Battle rages on, with both Domu and the divine tree exchanging blows so powerful that their energy streaks across the sky, threatening to consume everything in their wake. As the clash intensifies, their energy grows denser, creating a cataclysmic force that could destroy everything in the vicinity. Watching from afar, the god of nature enjoys the chaos. He revels in the intense, tragic battle unfolding before him, savoring the destruction it brings. Rose enjoying life being a Twitch streamer reacting to drama. The golden dragon and Panis find a secluded spot where the divine tree releases Panis, and the golden dragon creates healing orbs for both Panis and the red dragon. Meanwhile, the divine tree engages in battle with Domu, who commands his subordinates to attack after pushing the divine tree back. The golden dragon burns a vast area, but demons in the air catch him off guard. The divine tree swiftly kills 2 demons mid-air and orders the golden dragon to land. The divine tree faces Domu, who questions why he seeks revenge. The divine tree hesitates before explaining that strength and oppression are part of nature. Domu attempts to trap him, but the divine tree retaliates with a powerful punch, sending Domu flying and fracturing his face. Massive roots lash out, and the divine tree accuses Domu of being unworthy to rule. In an unexpected move, the divine tree reveals its true form, stunning Domu. Bro just went full Kaiju. Godzilla better count his days as king of the monsters. A giant mouth opens, releasing a surge of spiritual energy. Beasts tremble as the divine tree's power intensifies. The golden dragon struggles against the overwhelming energy, and Domu realizes the magnitude of his mistake. The god of nature watches in shock, realizing that the divine tree is a fifth-order transcendent. Domu, now desperate, asks the divine tree's true identity. The divine tree reveals it, but Domu dismisses the significance. Domu charges forward, only to be struck by golden orbs that grow stronger with each impact. He crashes to the ground as the divine tree's energy cleaves a mountain in half. Dude probably wondering why a tree is suddenly acting like a damn Elden Ring boss. The golden dragon watches in awe as the divine tree demands attention to showcase its full power. The energy peaks, merging with the dark elf's power, and a massive beam destabilizes the earth itself. The divine tree's giant form rises from the rubble, towering over Domu. With a roar, the divine tree charges at Domu. Domu's battle axe clashes with the divine tree's punch, creating a shockwave that ripples through the battlefield. Unscathed, Domu quickly evades the impact. With a growl, Domu swings his axe, demanding the divine tree accept its fate. But before he can land a blow, a massive hand reaches out, grabs his axe, and slams him into the ground. See? It's not the size, guys. It's how you use it. Rising from the rubble, wounded but determined, Domu faces the towering divine tree. From afar, the golden dragon watches in awe, recognizing the divine tree as a fifth-order transcendent. Domu, now facing the full power of his opponent, realizes the divine tree's form resembles that of an ancient tree. But the divine tree ignores him and unleashes a blast of light energy. Domu quickly raises his shield, but the light shatters it effortlessly and engulfs him. In a surge of anger, Domu transforms into his divine form, declaring his strength. The divine tree mocks him, and the two collide, shaking the very earth beneath them. Nearby demons scramble, trying to escape the destruction. The divine tree responds by conjuring a forest of ice spears, but Domu reforges his spiritual axe and cuts through them with ease. He leaps to the tree's top, striking with all his might. Roots rise to counter him, releasing destructive energy and retaliation. Cursing the divine tree, Domu releases a surge of spiritual energy. His axe grows to an enormous size, larger than a castle itself. The giant flame axe crashes down on the divine tree. The ground shatters as Domu's strike vaporizes the forest in a blinding flash of light. Watching from a distance, the golden dragon is horrified, believing that no one could survive that attack, not even Domu's grandfather. Domu slumps, his armor cracked and broken, showing the toll his attack has taken. It seems like he's given everything he had. Surprisingly, the divine tree stands unharmed, and Domu realizes he's been tricked. Frantic, he fires a barrage of energy spheres, desperate to turn the tide. The divine tree effortlessly blocks the attack with one hand, pointing out that Domu used the same technique to destroy Dragon Island. Without hesitation, the divine tree retaliates, detonating Domu's spheres in a massive explosion. Domu coughs up blood but continues to fight, undeterred by the pain. Desperate, Domu fires more spheres, convinced the divine tree is toying with him. But the divine tree responds in kind, summoning 6 colored galactic blades that slice through the spheres with ease. One of the blades severs Domu's leg, and he's struck multiple times. A final blade pierces his head, causing a massive explosion. The divine tree is momentarily surprised that Domu is still alive, though his body is barely holding together, with only half of him still intact. Despite the overwhelming injuries, Domu roars defiantly, calling himself invincible. His underlings appear and launch an attack on the divine tree. These idiots really rushing into a boss fight like they aren't about to get farmed for XP. Domu grows a wing, charging at the divine tree, convinced he can land a fatal blow, but the divine tree remains calm, awaiting his next move. The divine tree condemns Domu for his past crimes, declaring him unworthy of divinity. Enraged, Domu roars. The divine tree roars back as memories of the old Dragon King flash through his mind, filling him with a new, burning resolve. Unleashing a surge of energy that wipes out the lesser creatures nearby, both Domu and the divine tree charge at each other, their fists colliding with earth-shattering force. The divine tree's fist pierces through Domu's body, leaving him broken. The divine tree watches coldly as Domu's lifeless body falls, his godly form shattered and destroyed. Roots from the divine tree pierce through Domu's body with deadly precision, declaring him unworthy of divinity. As Domu's blood mixes with the air, he struggles, but the roots pin him against a wall, preparing to deliver the final, fatal blow. On the brink of death, Domu sees a column of fire shoot into the sky. his last vision before everything fades away. The earth quakes as the divine tree stands tall and victorious. Domu is completely annihilated. Good, get this bum off my screen. The golden dragon stands in disbelief, unable to fathom the fact that the divine tree has defeated a god. Despite his near death, Domu's endurance is terrifying. As he continues to persevere, the golden dragon steels himself, preparing to deliver the final blow. Suddenly, a massive burst of light erupts behind the divine tree, slamming into the ground with incredible force. A streak of spiritual energy blasts near the divine tree, causing a massive explosion. The golden dragon roars in fear as the energy surge targets the divine tree. From the smoke, the god of nature emerges, floating above the ground, her power radiating. The red dragon instantly recognizes her, recalling how she once captured them. With an eerie laugh, God of Nature claims Domu's territory as hers and declares that both Domu and the intruder are gone. Suddenly, the divine tree strikes, landing a massive punch that sends the God of Nature flying. The God of Nature crashes to the ground, coughing up blood. Unable to move, the divine tree strikes again, slamming her deeper into the earth. The red dragon warns the divine tree that the God of Nature cursed Panis and advised the destruction of Dragon Island. The divine tree is agitated, then punches her into a mountain. Says got yeeted like Team Rocket, blasting off again. The God of Nature, stunned, realizes she can't defeat the divine tree. Cyclones form around her as she roars, vowing that nature's power will overwhelm the divine tree. The divine tree remains calm, effortlessly dispersing the storm with a single blow. It questions if the God of Nature is truly using all her strength. In response, the God of Nature summons a fiery storm that turns the ground into lava, charging toward the divine tree. But the divine tree crushes her with a massive hand, followed by a bolt of lightning. The God of Nature falls, unable to resist, her body barely holding on. The divine tree summons its roots, ready to strike with light orbs and elements. Terrified, the God of Nature pleads for mercy. Bro out here teaching the literal God of Nature what natural selection means. Suddenly, an explosion shakes the ground as pillars of lava erupt. The ancient tree appears, declaring that it has finally met the divine tree. The golden dragon trembles in fear, recognizing the ancient tree as the planet's most powerful being. The divine tree acknowledges it as the tree of life, as the stage is set for potentially an epic showdown. The ancient tree calmly states it has met the divine tree, but the divine tree remains silent, its aura unshaken. The golden dragon nearly faints in fear, overwhelmed by the ancient tree's presence. Nah, that's generational aura det lil bro. Around the divine tree, red demons and elf warriors form a circle, joined by extraordinary beasts. The god of dreams arrives, and the divine tree realizes it has vastly underestimated its enemies. A multi-eyed monster appears, and the divine tree scolds it for causing trouble. The divine tree challenges its enemies, warning them of dire consequences should they dare fight. The golden dragon feels a chill as the divine tree confidently issues the challenge. The twisted tree reveals its plan to invade Earth, prompting the divine tree to prepare for war. The golden dragon is ordered to ready himself as a fiery blast of spiritual energy erupts, obliterating enemies in its path. The divine tree then identifies the source of the attack, the nine-tailed fox, a nightmare for extraordinary beasts. The nature god and dream god watch as a blue portal opens in the sky, and spaceships emerge. The elf woman recognizes it as a teleportation portal, meaning new forces are arriving. The ancient tree's composure cracks for the first time as humans, including Meal, step through the portal. Oh great, the apes with nukes are here. Just what we needed. The divine tree is caught off guard, shaken by their sudden appearance. As monsters charge, they're wiped out by laser beams from Misty Mountain dinosaurs, joined by other powerful beings from the mountain. Golden ants charge at the ancient tree, declaring that the twisted tree isn't worthy of being their opponent. The golden dragons greet the ice dragon, but in his confusion, he mistakes them for his grandfather. Baffling the ice dragon, the ice dragon then freezes hundreds of monsters with a powerful ice pillar, impressing the golden dragon with its strength. Three enormous mouths open wide, releasing icy spirit energy orbs that freeze everything in their path. The ice lizards unleash a blast of absolute zero, making creatures scramble to fly higher to avoid being frozen. The elf prince watches in horror, overwhelmed by the sheer power of the beings now on the battlefield. Suddenly, the elves now targeted the Ice Queen, while the flower goddess, standing at a distance, controls her kin through mind manipulation, her red hair fluttering in the wind. Meanwhile, demons are helpless as they're lifted into the air by anti-gravity, only to be crushed by Ox Demon using opposing gravitational forces. Humanity's advanced expeditionary force opens fire, launching spirit energy-coated bullets the size of melons, annihilating the mutant beasts in their path. Missiles with spirit energy warheads follow, obliterating the twisted, tree-like structures and incinerating more mutant beasts. Flying lizards and crimson demons leap forward to retaliate but are immediately neutralized by Xiaoling, the princess of blazing flames, who uses fire energy to stop them. The golden dragon, relieved by the arrival of reinforcements, sees a glimmer of hope for his tribe's survival, but the white tiger comments that everyone will die anyway. The golden dragon questions the white tiger's grim outlook but can't help but feel the weight of truth in his words, feeling intimidated by the white tiger's immense power. Xiaoling hands the white tiger a piece of cake, realizing his ominous words were just the result of hunger. The battle rages on, with both sides evenly matched. The divine tree and the ancient tree lock eyes across the field, and the ancient tree laughs eerily, calling the divine tree an interesting individual. What in the sweet home Alabama is going on here? Meanwhile, the golden dragon targets the elf queen, hoping for revenge, but when golden dragon tries to attack her, the ancient tree attempts to kill the golden dragon with its roots, but the divine tree transforms into a wood dragon to intercept the attack. The divine tree mocks the ancient tree, saying that no worthy opponent would waste time with such distractions. It then fires a warning blast of spirit energy, tearing apart a large portion of the ancient tree. But the ancient tree uses a clone to escape the blast, taunting the divine tree that it will erase his pride in a single stroke. Bro really pulled out the shadow clone jutsu. The ancient tree wraps a silver root around Dom, who is lying on the ground, intending to retreat with him. The divine tree boldly declares that Earth will belong to him, no matter what the ancient tree does. The ancient tree responds calmly, saying the divine tree will see soon enough. The clone uproots itself and ascends into the sky. The divine tree makes no move to pursue, realizing the true body of the ancient tree is in another dimension. Just then, figures resembling members of the three-eyed tribe emerge, with a multi-eyed figure signaling that the next battle will be led by them with the forces of the ancient tree and the divine tree poised for the ultimate clash. The final confrontation begins. The ancient tree's avatar ascends, cradling the wounded Wom. The god of nature questions why the ancient tree didn't unleash its full power, to which the tree admits it wasn't sure it could win. With a calm but commanding presence, the tree orders the god of dreams to unite all creatures in opposition to the invaders. The god of dreams transforms, sending a powerful message that echoes across the land, rallying all creatures to rise and fight together. The message reaches far and wide, urging creatures to unite against the invaders. The dragon declares the prophecy, calling warriors to prepare for battle as spiritual energy rises across Azure Star. Meanwhile, on Dragon Island, a honey badger diligently ensures the safety of a red dragon egg. The golden dragon finds more eggs, and the honey badger moves them to an energy pool for protection. Bro's out here looting dragon graves like it's Skyrim. On the other side, Panis observes strange creatures from Misty Mountain. Captivated by their mystical forms, Little Panda awkwardly asks her about hygiene, to which she responds with a mix of surprise and amusement. Damn girl, you must be stank. The flower god watches the interaction, admiring the creature's unique perspectives. Panda soon learns that Dragon Island was once a massive dragon, now alive thanks to the Divine Tree. Back at the Divine Tree, reports come in, and the tree grows concerned about the elves' damage to Earth. It praises TNC for advancing black hole technology, powered by spirit stones from the elves. The tree then inquires about humanity's leaders, Xiaoling, who leads the China Federation, and Yale, who leads the Free Federation. The China Federation's forces are formidable, with 30 level 4 transcendent warriors, 400 level 3, and 300,000 level 2 transcendent soldiers, plus 2 railguns. The Free Federation boasts 50 level 4 transcendent warriors, 600 level 3, and 1 million level 2 soldiers. Nine-tailed fox and the flower god leading the land beasts. The mermaid queen commands the sea beasts, and the barbarian army joins the fray with 600,000 warriors. The Divine Tree is surprised by the warriors' willingness to fight, especially given their demand for the release of their king. The Nile Fox reveals the barbarian leader as Kangaroo, a past adversary. The Divine Tree is shocked but sees this as an opportunity. The Nile Fox then reports that the monkey troop is nearly wiped out, with only the golden monkey still participating. The Divine Tree advises caution, urging the Nile Fox to prevent reckless actions from the golden monkey. Suddenly, Little Panda senses danger and spots a towering figure behind them, Little Panda's older brother, who demands bamboo shoots. Meanwhile, the Divine Tree listens to Qing Gang warning, the gods control the planet, and war will bring death. With resolve, the Divine Tree's first mission is to seize Domu's territory, stating that anyone who resists must be eliminated. Messenger birds and aircraft deliver the Divine Tree's orders to seize Domu's territories and prepare for a confrontation with the ancient tree. Creatures across the land rally to the call, answering the Divine Tree's command. With determination, the Divine Tree vows to face the Emperor in 1 year, claiming control of the planet. Meanwhile, the ancient tree's energy revives Domu, returning him to life. Domu awakens in confusion, unsure how he survived. The dream god informs him that the ancient tree gave him his second chance. Enraged, Domu accuses nature's deity of betrayal, but nature's deity dismisses the accusation, claiming her actions were a mistake. As Domu prepares to take action, a commanding voice stops him in his tracks. A powerful figure appears behind the ancient tree, halting the confrontation for now. Glowing magic circles materialize, releasing hooded figures imbued with immense power. Sigma mocks Domu, stating that he no longer holds godly status. Domu retorts, asserting that his strength far surpasses theirs and belittling Sigma in the process. A voice from the shadows defends Domu, acknowledging that his power rivals even the ancient trees. Rose Glazer giving Jiarong a run for his money with his glazing for Lai Yun Xiao. Oh hey there. Fourth wall. Sigma then declares that all gods will unite against this looming threat. The Emperor orders Domu's territory to be taken from nature's deity, causing her to realize the Emperor's mercy in sparing her life. The Emperor ends the confrontation, leaving Domu seething with rage over his losses. Domu vents his frustration, lamenting the loss of everything, including his land. Meanwhile, the Divine Tree's air force devastates an ogre village, reducing it to rubble. The ogres attempt to fight back but are swiftly overwhelmed. A mage retaliates, but his attack is effortlessly countered by the airship's firepower. Shelling lands nearby, offering the mage a choice: cooperate or perish. The mage do not agree to cooperate, and Xiaolin began her attack. Using the power of the spirit crystal, Xiaolin incinerates everything in the area, leaving nothing behind. The ogre commander is nearing death, and Xiaolin commands the conquest of the orc territories. She declares that the orc territories are now under their control. Xiaolin stands atop the high rock, commanding his legion with a booming voice. He orders them to cleanse the orc's territory and claim it in the name of the divine tree. His superhuman warriors charge forward in perfect unison, their battle cries echoing as they rush to engage the enemy. On the opposing side, undead sorcerers strike the ground together, summoning an undead dragon to amplify their power. Meanwhile, Kangara leads a barbarian horde of 600,000 warriors, shaking the heavens with his roar and ordering his army to slaughter the enemy in a display of unprecedented unity. Explosions and chaos erupt across the battlefield as Azure explosions tear through the terrain, courtesy of the Thunder Dragon. The Thunder Dragon watches as Earth beasts battle, towering one-eyed giants wielding massive spiked clubs. Suddenly, the ground cracks open and a massive dinosaur rises, its menacing growl shaking the battlefield. One giant looks down and sees their fallen lord reduced to ash by the dinosaur's fiery breath. The Cyclops general trembles in despair, realizing they are outmatched. In the skies, the Crocodile Emperor, now a lava dragon, soars with mutated bees and airborne beasts. He lands heavily on a bed of crystalline stones. The townspeople, terrified, offer up their freshly gathered crystals, but the Crocodile Emperor refuses their tribute. He declares that the era of tribute is over and the people are now free to live without fear. The townsfolk are stunned, unable to believe his words. Crocodile Jesus for the win. In the slave city, Ching Gang steps forward, carrying a massive container of food. He places it down with a resounding thud and announces that the food isn't free, but those willing to join his side may take their share. This marks the expansion of the Divine Tree's territory. Most of Dom's former lands are annexed, bolstering the Divine Tree's forces as the conquered centers are eradicated. On the seas, the whale leads the aquatic tribes, subjugating marine factions and claiming the Eastern Ocean for the Divine Tree. New bases are constructed, equipped with machines to create interdimensional gates, while research continues on building larger, more powerful gates. Resistance forces arise, but the nine-tailed fox crushes them with ease, renaming the towns after the commanders who led the invasions. The Federal Army of China, under the command of the God of Dreams, marches eastward to counter the giant invasion. Creatures from across the world mobilize toward Domu's territory, turning it into a defensive line. The stage is set for a brutal conflict that will affect the entire world. Meanwhile, the Divine Tree discovers the Dragon Cemetery on Dragon Island, finding dragon crystals buried there. Absorbing the energy from the level 4 crystals, he feels a surge of power and plans to keep them for himself, saving the level 3 crystals for his subordinates. Little Panda, noticing the column of spiritual energy rising into the sky, realizes that the Divine Tree is preparing to break through to the next level, growing immensely powerful. Little Panda vows to evolve himself, determined not to remain stagnant despite his debts. It's 2025. Let the little guy identify as a Pokemon if he wants. The flower spirit, always following Little Panda, finds his newfound determination more attractive. However, Little Panda knows he must settle his debts before he can evolve further. With resolve, he decides to use his connection with Aki to soar into the sky, leaving his furious older brother behind. Elsewhere, a mysterious figure walks through the void, accompanied by a massive being. The figure asks if it's acceptable to act without the Emperor's permission, and his companion agrees. The figure's target is the Divine Tree's 10 ferocious beasts, and he plans to strike a few down for amusement, avoiding a full-scale war. His first target is the Crocodile Emperor, intending to test the Divine Tree's power as his forces grow stronger by the day. Crocodile City, once known as Slave City, is now home to a particle accelerator research center. The Crocodile King arrives, causing the ground to shake. He inquires about the Black Hole Project, and a specialist explains that while the current black hole can accommodate mid-level creatures, it will take 4 more months to create one large enough for the king. 4 months? Elon Musk would have overpromised and underdelivered by now. The Crocodile King thanks the specialists and expresses hope for timely completion. surprising them with his polite words. Meanwhile, a construction team struggles to break a massive metal boulder blocking their path. The Golden Ant arrives, activating his strength buff, and effortlessly cracks the boulder open, albeit destroying an excavator in the process. The Bull Demon arrives shortly after, lifts the rubble, and reprimands the Golden Ant for nearly harming his workers. In Sixth City, a statue crafted by Qinggong stands proudly. Two businessmen approach him with an offer of a high-paying job and presidential treatment. Nearby, Lan Fang's younger sister watches Qinggong, impressed by his skills, honesty, and cooking abilities. She considers him a good potential partner. Dude out here casually rizzing up animal baddies. Aki's group, stationed in Sixth City, remains on high alert, knowing their every move could be discovered. The Wind Wolf pack detects unfamiliar energy through their keen sense of smell. Two figures, one large and one small, appear near their location, the same individuals who targeted the Crocodile Emperor earlier. The larger figure complains about the teleportation zone's size, while the smaller one reassures him that it's no big deal. They've arrived at their destination, Slave City. The Golden Monkey senses the unfamiliar energy of the two figures and prepares for battle, gripping his staff tightly. Meanwhile, on Dragon Island, the Golden Dragon defeats the mutated mammoth in a practice match, mocking its weakness. The mutated wolf challenges the Golden Dragon to a duel, and the two engage in fierce close combat. Despite the Golden Dragon's overwhelming power, he holds back during the fight. Above, Nine-Tailed Fox watches the battle, its eyes gleaming with a sense of foreboding. Aki's team flies through the sky, with the late afternoon setting in. Aki's sharp eyes have already picked up on something, and now she follows the trail of the intruders. Below them, the landscape shows the aftermath of the battle, a canyon carved through the range. Two figures, one large, one small, make their way through the canyon, staying low to avoid detection. The larger intruder speaks, but the smaller one is taken off guard when someone steps in their way. The leader of the Wind Wolves, known as Wind Wolf, stops them, declaring that they can't move any further. The larger intruder, a mysterious figure, laughs with excitement at the challenge ahead. Meanwhile, as night falls over Crocodile City, the Crocodile Emperor feels a strong aura and halts to assess the intruders. Its realization comes fast, their strength is overwhelming, and in an instant, Wind Wolf is struck down. Damn, Rose showed up with main character energy but got bodied like a side quest NPC. Though Wind Wolf had done his job, the smaller intruder urges the larger one to hurry. Suddenly, bright yellow energy streaks through the air, catching the intruders by surprise. The smaller one leaps into action, but soon, they realize that Wind Wolf has disappeared. Aki's team swoops in, saving Wind Wolf from further harm. The unknown creature recognizes the rare, deadly birds attacking, once part of Misty Mountain's forces. They're known for their speed and precision. The larger intruder, eager to fight, considers roasting the birds, but Aki lets out a furious scream. The birds transform into fire rockets, reaching Mach 15 speeds, an unstoppable force when unleashed. Their deadly thrusts can pierce anything in their path, but the mysterious figure is undeterred. He pulls out a glowing object, unleashing spirit energy to slash through one of the birds, blood spraying as it falls. While combat isn't their primary skill, the Divine Tree assigns Aki and his team roles in communication and surveillance. One of the birds crashes into the intruder's shoulder, but fails to break through his tough skin. He grabs it by the neck, crushing it without effort. His defense is formidable, making sneak attacks futile. The intruder complains about the bird's noise, but Aki, tears in her eyes, carries Wind Wolf away. The larger intruder believes escape is impossible and raises his hand, firing an energy ball at Aki. Aki feels the impending death, but suddenly, a loud explosion erupts in the sky, followed by a smoke screen. The mysterious figure senses something is off. The attack was blocked, Is the white monkey back? Aki continues to fly with the white monkey holding off the pursuers. The smaller intruder warns the larger one to stay alert, but the larger intruder only grows excited by the challenge, treating it like a game. Suddenly, the white monkey crashes to the ground. The intruder is momentarily stunned as a ball of spirit energy strikes him in the face, filling the canyon with streams of powerful energy. The smaller intruder is confused, thick smoke clouding their view. But the white monkey presses on, striking again. The white monkey believes it has landed a successful blow, but the mysterious figure closes in with a sharp blade. The white monkey delivers a powerful E-strike to the chest, sending the figure flying, hinting that it could be a mutated version of the golden monkey. The larger intruder grins, excitement in his eyes. He vows to kill the smelly monkey and end this quickly. Did bro suddenly get possessed by Frieza or something? The white monkey stays cautious, frowning, not underestimating the enemy. As the figure removes his mask, his grotesque form is revealed, and he vows to pluck every hair from the white monkey. White monkey stood stoically, his body covered in fresh wounds, facing his towering opponent. Bro's got more guts than brains. Respect. The giant, eyes glowing with intensity, sized him up, his muscular frame ready for the fight that lay ahead. With the challenge to White Monkey to unleash his full power, the giant launched a supersonic punch, sending White Monkey crashing into a rocky mountain. Buried beneath the rubble, White Monkey appeared unconscious, but the giant wasted no time. With blinding speed, he closed in, preparing to deliver a horn-like strike that would pulverize the ground. White Monkey, however, managed to kick upward, landing a blow to the giant's face. Struggling to breathe and clearly injured, he leaped back, narrowly avoiding a fatal strike. The giant came at him again, but White Monkey stood his ground, countering with a punch of his own. Their strikes collided with explosive force, shaking the air around them. The giant, unfazed, marveled at White Monkey's strength, impressed by the power of a fourth-order creature. He didn't feel fear. Instead, excitement filled him as the battle intensified. Lore-accurate science be like. The two continued to exchange brutal blows. White Monkey's spirit energy attacks scorched the giant's face, yet the pain didn't seem to slow him down. But White Monkey was weakening, finally dropping to one knee. The giant taunted him, claiming he hadn't even warmed up yet. Enraged, White Monkey gritted his teeth, pushing himself back to his feet. The giant's smaller companion urged him to end it, but the giant refused. Eager to kill everything in sight, White Monkey's gaze shifted to the ring given to him by the divine tree. Realizing there was no other option, he shattered it in a moment of desperation. A massive column of spirit energy erupted from White Monkey, shaking the very earth around him. Doom really just went full shonen protagonist mode and equipped his plot armor. His aura surged, wild and overwhelming, and the giant froze in shock at the sudden increase in power. White Monkey seized the opportunity, delivering a lightning-fast punch that sent the giant flying thousands of meters. Undeterred, the giant recovered quickly, and White Monkey followed up with a relentless barrage of punches. But the giant barely flinched, his immense power allowing him to counter with a brutal strike, sending White Monkey crashing into the mountain once again. White Monkey emerged from the debris, his face set in unwavering determination. He would fight until the very end. Recognizing White Monkey's resolve, the giant infused his fist with purple energy, preparing for a devastating attack. The two clashed in a massive explosion, a shockwave reverberating through the land. As the dust settled, the giant remained standing, blood smeared across his face. White Monkey, however, lay motionless in a deep pit. The giant, acknowledging White Monkey's strength, stood over him, though White Monkey could no longer hear the respect in his words. Grace stood at the edge of a deep pit, his gaze fixed on White Monkey. The White Monkey, lying motionless beneath a pile of rubble, bloodied and still, White Monkey's form was buried beneath the debris, a victim of the relentless battle. Grace gathered a sphere of spiritual energy in preparation for the final blow. But just as he was about to strike, a sudden surge of golden flames shot toward him, engulfing the entire area in a blinding light. The explosion of spiritual energy was overwhelming, and Grace faltered, momentarily caught off guard by its intensity. As the smoke cleared, the ground trembled beneath them. The Crocodile Emperor descended from above, landing with an earth-shattering impact. His aura exuded raw power, nearly on par with the Fifth Order, and his presence radiated undeniable dominance. Bro, so marvelous. Bro, so marvelous. Grace's frustration flared, but the Emperor stood his ground, unfazed and calm, his gaze sharp as he prepared for the inevitable confrontation. Stigma, standing off to the side, observed the situation closely, his eyes confirming that the Crocodile Emperor was indeed the target they had been seeking. Grace, undeterred, dismissed any connection to the Tree of Life and taunted the Crocodile Emperor, belittling his strength. The Emperor's eyes grew cold, and his stance hardened as he readied himself for the battle ahead. Without hesitation, Grace unleashed a flurry of spiritual energy blades, slicing through the Crocodile Emperor's wings. Man released said, Yatsuba Tenshu. The attack was swift, but the Crocodile Emperor retaliated instantly with a ferocious bite, clamping down on Grace with unimaginable force. Grace, never one to back down, countered with a powerful spiritual attack inside the Emperor's mouth, forcing him to the ground. But the Crocodile Emperor quickly recovered, emerging from the attack and spitting out a massive tooth that lodged itself deep into the earth. Stigma moved to inspect the tooth, using his abilities to absorb its properties, revealing his unique power to fuse materials with his body. Meanwhile, his companion, the smaller man, made their intentions clear. They planned to destroy the Crocodile Emperor and his entire domain. Above the chaos, a spatial rift tore open above the slave city, unleashing hordes of monsters that began wreaking havoc on the unsuspecting population. The invasion was swift, signaling the beginning of the city's destruction. As the monsters descended upon the helpless citizens, their fates sealed by the oncoming storm. The ancient tree turns to the Emperor of the Gods, seeking permission to allow Sigma and Grace to face the Crocodile Emperor. Wait, allow who and who? Nah. First Qinggong and now this. The author gotta be doing this on purpose. The Emperor, acknowledging their strength, grants the approval. The battle between Sigma, Grace, and the Crocodile Emperor intensifies, with the Crocodile Emperor retaliating fiercely. Meanwhile, in Slave City, chaos erupts as Sigma's monsters launch their attack. Fires rage and the city is shaken by loud explosions. Inside the city, scientists scramble to activate the black hole gate, but it's clear it'll take at least a month before it's ready. The people outside are terrified, gathering in fear of what's to come. A massive white owl lands, signaling the start of a full-scale monster assault on the city. Winged monsters and giant beasts swarm, killing everyone in their path, while Dom's monsters block off all exits, trapping the citizens. Guardian robots are deployed to protect the teleportation machine, firing large-caliber anti-aircraft guns in a desperate attempt to hold the monsters back. Sigma, sensing the destruction from afar, knows the fate of the land is sealed and prepares for his next move. Back in battle, he and Grace continue their relentless assault on the Crocodile Emperor, but the beast withstands their strikes with surprising resilience. The Crocodile Emperor roars, declaring the battle far from over as lightning crackles ominously around him. Gathering his energy, he undergoes a terrifying transformation into a magma dragon, radiating intense heat. In the next moment, the magma dragon unleashes a destructive beam of burning magma, warping space and causing massive environmental damage. Sigma, undeterred, quickly surrounds himself and Grace with a protective barrier, impressed by the dragon's power but determined to press on. Yet you can say that he is a Sigma boy. However, The magma dragon's attack proves too much, cutting through Sigma's barrier and grazing his hand. Observing the situation, the Crocodile Emperor remains eerily calm, sizing up Sigma's defense. Recognizing the true danger, Sigma activates his third fighting form, unleashing a powerful column of light into the sky, signaling the beginning of the next phase in this deadly battle. Sigma boldly declared his intent to show the Crocodile Emperor the full extent of his divine power. Now in a new form, he transformed into a blinding beam of light, shooting skyward and overwhelming the surroundings with its brilliance. As the light faded, a sphere enveloped him, marking the completion of his transformation. The Crocodile Emperor could feel the change immediately. The aura around Sigma grew stronger and more brutal, a sure sign that the battle was about to escalate. Finally, Sigma emerged from the sphere, now a four-legged reptilian creature. His body reminiscent of a crocodile, but longer and crackling with lightning. The transformation left the Crocodile Emperor startled. Sigma was now a formidable force. This is how Pikachu would have been if the stubborn Blockhead decided to evolve into Raichu. Without hesitation, Sigma charged at his opponent, and the battle began with blood splattering across the battlefield. Meanwhile, in Slave City, the mutated beasts continued their assault. Dom's monsters had the upper hand in numbers, but the situation remained dire with a spatial rift continually bringing in more enemies. Despite the onslaught, the scientists activated the black hole machine, its plasma tubes lighting up in preparation for evacuation. As the machine powered up, mutated beasts cleared a path for civilians, allowing thousands to rush toward the gate, though chaos remained as the enemy's spirit energy tore through the city. The sky darkened further as the battle intensified, with homes destroyed and flames consuming the land. Amidst the chaos, the Crocodile Emperor emerged, holding White Monkey's lifeless body in his arms, his own body covered in wounds. The sight left the professor stunned, unsure how a creature so powerful could be so gravely injured. The Crocodile Emperor laid White Monkey's body down gently and told the professor to take him away, then inquired if the black hole gate was ready. The professor confirmed that the evacuation was underway, but warned that the mutated beasts still fought fiercely. Urgently, the Crocodile Emperor demanded that all the mutated beasts retreat, though the professor hesitated. Feeling the weight of abandoning the territory, the Crocodile Emperor made it clear that he would stay behind, determined to hold off the enemy so others could escape. Such selflessness. Doom was the real Sigma boy all along. Just then, Sigma's massive foot crashed down. With mockery in his voice, Sigma declared that there was no escape, no matter where the Crocodile Emperor went. He wasn't just after the Crocodile Emperor's life, he coveted the teleportation circle as well, knowing it would allow him to transport his troops with ease. Sigma's greedy gaze fell on the professor, who froze in place, too fearful to move. The Crocodile Emperor shouted for the professor to run, unfurling his wings to shield him. Though shaken, the professor steeled himself, ready to face the coming threat. Sigma swung his claws with deadly intent, claiming no one could escape him. But the Crocodile Emperor grabbed his arm, holding him back with equal strength and warning him not to be reckless. Sigma only laughed, dismissing the Crocodile Emperor's resolve as futile. The Crocodile Emperor, however, held firm, commanding the mutated beasts to evacuate. Hesitant, the beasts paused. Such an order was unprecedented. The Crocodile Emperor's roar shook the battlefield, commanding the retreat and vowing that they would avenge him later. The beasts, reluctant but obedient, began moving toward the gate. However, lurking in the air was a hidden threat, the god of destruction, poised to stop their escape. With a malevolent smile, the god of destruction prepared to slaughter the weak and prevent any retreat. But before he could act, a fiery tail shot out from below, burying him in magma. The god of destruction had forgotten about the Crocodile Emperor, who was determined to see the retreat succeed, no matter the cost. As the god of destruction struggled to rise, realization dawned on him. This had all been part of the Crocodile Emperor's plan. Knowing he couldn't win, the Crocodile Emperor accepted his fate. He would die, but not without ensuring his people's survival. He admired their resilience, especially those like Little Panda, whose strength would carry the spirit of the Crocodile Empire forward. With a final, defiant glint in his eyes, the Crocodile Emperor made his last decision. He would stand and fight, even if it meant his death. The evacuation of Slave City was finally complete, but the Crocodile Emperor wasn't done yet. Covered in blood, he stood tall, facing the snarling monsters Sigma had unleashed. As one of Sigma's beasts lunged at him, the Crocodile Emperor effortlessly grabbed it, releasing a deadly breath that turned the creature to ash while coughing up blood. Grace retaliated by punching the Crocodile Emperor in the gut, refusing to back down. The battle dragged on, each side cautiously maneuvering. Sigma, ever strategic, prepared his soul bite while his allies avoided making fatal moves. However, the Crocodile Emperor wasn't about to let up. He unleashed a devastating area attack, forcing Sigma and Grace to retreat, though Sigma wasn't quick enough, getting caught in the blast. Injured but unshaken, the Crocodile Emperor revealed his true power, standing tall amidst the destruction. Sigma felt a shift in the air. The sharpness of the Crocodile Emperor's form intensified, marking the beginning of a primal transformation. His blood, now molten lava, boiled, a sign of the awakening of an ancient and evolutionary power. Sigma quickly realized that the Crocodile Emperor had reached an atavistic form, a transformation that granted him strength on par with the creator. My go, it really pulled out, and this isn't even my final form card on him. Let's go. The Crocodile Emperor's new form wreaked havoc on Sigma's forces, as monsters were either burned to ash or consumed in the molten flood. Grace emerged from the lava, attempting to attack, but was easily swatted away by the Crocodile Emperor's massive hand. Sigma was no better off, as the Crocodile Emperor's tail struck him with tremendous force, sending him flying hundreds of meters. With the battle nearing its end, the Crocodile Emperor revealed a pale yellow liquid, ready to seal the fight, as another attacker rushed in to stop him. The Crocodile Emperor casually shrugged them off, spitting them away like nothing. Sigma, desperate, tried to launch another soul bite, but it was blocked by the Crocodile Emperor's massive wing. Unfazed, the Crocodile Emperor showed no emotion, his dominance clear as he prepared to finish what he started. Grace and Sigma had transformed into divine bodies, maintaining a safe distance from the Crocodile Emperor, whose body was covered in burning lava. The Crocodile Emperor's appearance had changed drastically, and Sigma, now on high alert, realized that his form was almost unrecognizable. It resembled a lava dragon, though no dragon had ever wielded such power. Without warning, the Crocodile Emperor opened his mouth and unleashed a torrent of molten lava. Sigma, caught off guard, took the full brunt of the attack, but with a swift wave of his hand, he neutralized the blast. However, the pain was evident as part of his jaw was burned away despite his defense. Before he could even react, a massive lava arm seized him. The Crocodile Emperor's eyes glowed with multiple yellow pupils, piercing Sigma with disdain, clearly viewing him as weak and fragile. Dude is really not living up to his name at all, struggling to break free. Sigma's divine power erupted from his body in a desperate attempt to escape, but the Crocodile Emperor grabbed him with both hands, overpowering him completely. In one swift motion, Sigma was torn in half, his blood splattering as he lost consciousness. God of Physique charges forward, his tentacles lashed out, striking the Crocodile Emperor's body and piercing through it with brutal force. A final slash caused the Crocodile Emperor to roar in pain. Grace, in his fleeting confidence, believed he had won. But as the dust cleared, the Crocodile Emperor's wounds healed rapidly, and he unleashed a powerful blast of air, killing God of Physique with his final move. Sigma, utterly defeated, realized too late that the Crocodile Emperor had been toying with him all along. He had underestimated his opponent, who who was a god-level being. Attempting to flee, Sigma was struck by a massive lava ball, falling from the sky, further weakening him. Even in his true god form, Sigma, covered in spikes, was still alive, despite being torn in half. Using a human gate, he attempted to escape, aiming to reach the God Emperor for help. Meanwhile, the Crocodile Emperor lay on the ground, severely weakened. His spiritual energy was rapidly fading, and he regretted not finishing his mission to stop Sigma. As the Crocodile Emperor struggled to remain conscious, Yu sensed Crocodile Emperor aura is gone. The Crocodile Emperor's breath slowly faded, signaling his death. "No, not my goat. Please, Mr. Author, give him some plot armor and my life is yours." Unfortunately, the Misty Mountain reinforcements hadn't arrived in time to save him. A sight that no one could have ever anticipated, Emperor Crocodile, once the formidable ruler of the lands, now lay sprawled on the ground, badly injured and unconscious. Xiao Lam dashes to his side, her every movement betraying her desperate will to rouse him from that perilous brink. Yet despite her frantic efforts, the Emperor remained unresponsive, as if the weight of his past transgressions had finally caught up with him. Nearby, the white tiger growled, its low rumble mingling with the palpable tension in the air. Xiao Lam, undeterred by the beast's presence, inched closer to the Emperor, whose shallow, weak breaths told the tale of impending doom. The situation, already dire, demanded more than mere hope, and so summoning her spiritual energy with resolute determination, she directed the spider, of all things, to deliver the life essence that might just spark a return from death's door. Bro really got a whole medical team all to himself. The spider's work, while earnest, proved frustratingly slow. Emperor Crocodile's massive form absorbed the life-giving liquid at a snail's pace, barely betraying any sign of recovery. The group, eyes fixed on his barely fluttering lids and distant gaze, could only wait in anxious silence. Realizing that the spider's ministrations were insufficient, Xiao Lam promptly summoned the badger spirit, instructing it to pour a surge of energy directly into the Emperor's chest. The badger obeyed, enveloping the Emperor in a dazzling burst of spiritual energy, followed by a relentless discharge of electrical energy aimed at rekindling the failing heartbeat. Despite these combined efforts, however, the Emperor's recovery seemed as elusive as ever. His once bright spiritual aura began to wane, and despair crept into the hearts of all present. Frantic now, Xiao Lam found herself overcome with emotion, sobbing uncontrollably as the weight of impending loss threatened to shatter her resolve. Meanwhile, the rest of our makeshift assembly could only hope that the badger spirit's intensified efforts might reverse the grim tide. Just as our collective hopes seemed to dwindle into mere fragments, a sudden gust of wind heralded the arrival of divine beings. Crane and the white fox materialized amid an ethereal glow, their wings fluttering gracefully as if summoned by destiny itself. Their breathtaking presence, along with the radiant light that accompanied them, momentarily captivated every soul gathered there. The wine immortal also appeared, offering a vast supply of life essence with the urgent instruction to use it swiftly, an order that resonated with the gravity of this plight. Nothing says divine intervention like a drunk guy showing up with a miracle potion. As the precious life essence was poured into Emperor Crocodile, his condition gradually stabilized. In what could only be described as a miraculous moment, the Emperor managed to stand, albeit still wounded, with the bleeding finally halted and the worst seemingly past. With eyes that now shone with gratitude mingled with concern, he acknowledged all who had labored to save him, even as Xiao Lam's keen mind began to shift its focus to the new threat that loomed, the enigmatic tunneling device. The Emperor revealed, in a tone laden with caution, that the device was capable of bearing the return of the Misty Realm army. No sooner had he spoken than Old Ninth, ever the braggart, made his presence known with loud declarations of his own importance, though it turned out that he had merely ridden Crane rather than soared alongside him. It was hard not to laugh at the absurdity. The man's short legs had literally kept him grounded. A fact he admitted sheepishly when Xiao Lam inquired about his arrival. Off to the side, White Crane shed a silent tear, its stoic gaze betraying the deep emotion of the moment. Dew really pulled up like he was gonna do something, only to backseat game. Yet, as the dust of these miraculous interventions began to settle, Shell Lamb's observant eyes caught a disturbing detail. The absence of both the badger spirit and the wild boar signaled that something was amiss. Far from the fortress, in a place shrouded by ominous shadows, a mutant entity stirred. Its third eye slowly opened as it fixed its gaze on the fortress, an unsettling omen that rippled through the ancient life tree, which trembled at the news of the god of destruction's fall. Sigma, ever vigilant, sensed the shift in the cosmic winds. It halted its relentless advance and began to decelerate, its being preparing for whatever chaos was destined to follow. Golden Monkey's keen senses had detected a strange aura seeping into the city, and without a moment's hesitation, it raced for the heart of the disturbance, determined to lend its formidable aid to the ongoing battle. Arriving at the central battleground, Golden Monkey found that the fray had already subsided. Emperor Crocodile, now fully healed, was perched triumphantly on a tree branch, a living testament to resilience. "Let's go. My goat made it." From somewhere nearby, the celebratory cries of strange beasts echoed in the air as they rejoiced over the Emperor's recovery. Although Golden Monkey felt a surge of emotion at this unexpected jubilation, it chose to remain in the shadows, determined to act with quiet discretion rather than join the raucous celebration. Tracing the elusive trail of Sigma to a desolate canyon, Golden Monkey eventually discovered the badger and wild boar, languishing in unconsciousness. With precise, almost tender efficiency, it knocked them out completely and arranged them carefully inside a hollow tree, lining their makeshift bed with soft leaves, a silent act of care amidst the chaos. Without a word, Golden Monkey departed the scene, his farewell as silent as the passing wind. It continued onward, each step fueled by unwavering determination and focus. Meanwhile, in a darkened corner near the entrance of a swirling wormhole, Sigma lay recovering, meticulously planning an escape. As its strength slowly returned, Sigma felt a deceptive calm settle in, believing no immediate threat lurked in the shadows. Top 10 moments recorded before disaster. That fragile calm shattered when, from the northeast, a dark figure emerged, wielding a staff with ominous intent. The figure slammed the staff down onto the wormhole's entrance, the violent impact reverberating through the canyon. Out of the swirling dust, Golden Monkey emerged once more, his presence fierce and unmistakable. Sigma instantly recognized the new adversary, a creature bearing a striking resemblance to itself, yet with an audacity that could only be described as infuriating. Sigma's growl of frustration resonated in the canyon, a clear expression of insult at the smaller opponent's brazen challenge. One couldn't help but think that audacity was in short supply these days, especially when measured against the sheer nerve of such a miniature monkey. Unfazed by the provocation, Golden Monkey launched itself forward with a force that left no room for hesitation, its strike landing squarely on Sigma's face. The collision triggered a violent explosion, a raw display of power as Golden Monkey's attack served as a brutal test of Sigma's resilience. To Golden Monkey's astonishment, Sigma's arm was severed in the process, yet the creature managed to remain upright. Adopting a defensive stance, Golden Monkey eyed its injured opponent while Sigma, now baffled by the relentless spirit of its foe, prepared for a counterstrike. In a desperate maneuver, Sigma transformed its severed arm into a cannon-like weapon, unleashing a devastating blast aimed at Golden Monkey. The powerful attack struck true, leaving Golden Monkey severely injured. Despite the damage, however, Golden Monkey's resolve did not waver. It drove its staff into the ground with unyielding determination, standing its ground against the onslaught. Sigma, astonished by the tenacity of Golden Monkey, began to feel a creeping sense of fear, a realization that this battle was turning into something far more challenging than initially anticipated. Overwhelmed by the mounting pressure and sensing the futility of continued resistance, Sigma decided to retreat. Yet Golden Monkey was not about to let the opportunity slip away. It pursued Sigma relentlessly, its drive unyielding even in the face of exhaustion. In a final desperate gambit, Sigma employed a powerful execution array, creating a trap of razor-sharp fangs that sprang toward Golden Monkey. But true to its indomitable nature, Golden Monkey charged headlong into the deadly snare, disregarding the searing pain and its mounting injuries. Its unrelenting charge shattered the fangs, and with a decisive thrust, Golden Monkey drove its staff directly into Sigma's face. The impact was catastrophic. Sigma's protective mask was crushed, leaving a gaping hole where its defiance once resided. In short, Buddy got cooked. With one final, forceful push, Golden Monkey plunged the staff deeper, delivering the fatal blow that sent Sigma's body crashing backward, lifeless. Standing tall amid the ruin of battle, Golden Monkey remained vigilant, his eyes scanning the battlefield with alert determination, refusing to believe that the fight was truly over. At length, as the adrenaline began to ebb, Golden Monkey allowed itself a moment of respite. Lowering its guard, it sank heavily onto its staff to catch its breath, the exhaustion of the fierce confrontation weighing on every muscle. The battle erupted in a blaze of violence as Golden Monkey thrust its staff through Sigma's face, sending the once mighty being crashing to the ground. Even though Sigma's divine vision remained eerily intact, Golden Monkey hovered above the chaos, scanning for even the faintest sign of life. Exhausted and wounded from the brutal exchange, Golden Monkey rose slowly to confirm what it feared. Sigma was down. Deep inside, it knew that the fight had been nothing short of unjust. The grim tableau took an even darker turn when Golden Monkey, spitting blood in bitter disbelief, was suddenly pierced through the chest by a spear fashioned from Sigma's very own finger. Blood poured freely as it registered the danger of this unrelenting combat. In a final burst of defiant energy, a weakened Sigma conveyed that not only had Golden Monkey exceeded all expectations, but so had its own desperate resolve, using the last of its strength to try and finish the grim work. Furious pain now fueling its rage, Golden Monkey charged at Sigma, colliding headfirst with jagged bone spikes that threatened to end the duel in one swift moment. Undeterred by agony, Golden Monkey ripped its staff from the fresh wound and prepared to fight anew. With a renewed determination that belied its bloodied state, it launched itself at Sigma once more, though Sigma managed a narrow dodge that hinted at lingering prowess. What followed was a relentless barrage. Golden Monkey struck repeatedly, its staff pummeling Sigma's limbs and torso in a display of savage precision. Furries must either absolutely love or totally hate this series. Sigma, however, refused to be outdone. Focusing on its exposed eye, the godlike entity conjured a bone drill as a countermeasure against the relentless assault. In response, Golden Monkey raised its staff in a defensive maneuver, only to have Sigma's bone drill pierce through it with searing intensity. Triumph danced in Sigma's eyes as it continued to stab at Golden Monkey, even as the simian countered by slashing at Sigma's face with vicious claws. The melee escalated as Golden Monkey, ignoring its own mounting pain, clawed relentlessly at Sigma's face. In a desperate bid for advantage, it leaped towards Sigma's vulnerable eye, only to miss as Sigma guarded it with a wary precision. Not to be deterred, Golden Monkey landed squarely on Sigma's chest, tearing into the flesh with savage, deliberate strikes. In a sweeping motion meant to throw its adversary off balance, Sigma flung its arms wide, but the ever-resolute Golden Monkey retaliated with another brutal strike, leaving deep claw marks in its wake. The ferocity only intensified as Golden Monkey attacked faster and deeper, overwhelming Sigma with a barrage of precise savage blows. In a final, devastating maneuver, it sank its claws into Sigma's chest and back, eliciting a scream of raw agony. In response, Sigma released a burst of spiritual energy, a shockwave that blasted Golden Monkey away with unrestrained destructive force. Sigma staggered, drained yet still clinging to life, while Golden Monkey struggled to rise, its will unbroken despite the pain. At this point, these guys should get a complimentary prescription for Panadol. Summoning its remaining strength, Sigma chanted an incantation that warped the very ground beneath them, transforming the battlefield into a shifting, treacherous trap designed to ensnare its relentless foe. With clinical precision, Sigma then formed a sphere of razor-sharp spikes around Golden Monkey, trapping it in a prison of bone and malice. Just when the struggle seemed to reach a deadly standstill, the wild boar and badger charged towards Sigma, stirring up a storm of dust and debris, a clear sign that this deadly ballet was far from its final act. Under a gloomy overcast sky, Set, the unflinching leader of the Western Wasteland tribe, trod steadily across a desolate desert, his measured footsteps the only sound in a vast barren expanse. His mind was as hardened as the cracked earth beneath him, and nothing could distract him from his solitary journey. His stride faltered when he noticed, dragging itself laboriously across the unforgiving sand, the Golden Monkey. Blood-soaked and exhausted, the creature struggled to move forward, its battered form a stark emblem of a lost battle. Bro, really out here speedrunning rock bottom like that one Eminem song. Nearby lay the massive seal of the Monkey King, ominously positioned next to a scattered pile of mutant beasts, the very creatures that had wrought havoc on Crocodile City. Set took in a grim scene with a seasoned eye. He mused that the Golden Monkey, despite its evident power forged in the flames of vengeance, seemed doomed to a futile journey. In a low-determined tone, the creature conveyed its bitter resolve to inspire terror and force others into submission. Yet, Set's unspoken question lingered. What would be the price when inevitable retaliation struck? In response, the Golden Monkey dismissed any talk of counter-retaliation, noting that both its race and its foes were forever ensnared in a vicious cycle of revenge, an endless loop with no true resolution. Then, with unwavering conviction, it vowed to eradicate its enemies entirely as the very first act of retribution. Set, his expression unreadable, wondered silently if such a path might not corrupt the soul, because nothing screams moral compass like a pledge to obliterate every last enemy, right? The creature, however, brushed aside such philosophical musings as inconsequential. Recognizing the unyielding resolve in its eyes, Set extended an invitation for the Golden Monkey to follow him to a secret destination. A silent offer without judgment, acknowledging that some journeys must be walked together, however dark the road. The tenuous calm shattered abruptly when a clan leader's seal streaked across the sky and crashed to the ground, its impact sending a violent shockwave rippling through the desert. The blast hurled Badger, Golden Monkey's loyal companion, across the sand, leaving him barely clinging to life. In the ensuing chaos, the god of creation made his presence known by lifting Badger high by his throat, his tone mocking as he ridiculed the feeble resistance. Badger, in a desperate bid to fight back, unleashed a thunder forge from spiritual energy. His effort, however, was laughably ineffective against Sigma, who regarded the attack with cold dismissal. Sigma declared with an icy calm that the remaining mutants would soon perish. Meanwhile, Golden Monkey found itself ensnared by a circle of deadly spikes, poised to strike back. Sigma's fixation on spikes as a fashion statement for mutant annihilation was almost comical, if only the stakes weren't so grim. Fury ignited within the Golden Monkey, and in an instant it vanished, evading the lethal barrage of spikes. At the same time, Sigma's grip on Badger tightened, his enjoyment of the unfolding torment palpable. Just as Sigma raised Badger higher, intent on delivering the final blow, the clan leader's seal dramatically altered its course once more. It crashed back to the ground, sending yet another shockwave through the battlefield that reverberated with the promise of imminent change. That's what all my exes say, you ain't slick. Then, as if the very mountains had decided to join the fray, a colossal hand, its fur unmistakably familiar, burst forth from the mountainside. The tremors it sent cascading over the battlefield signaled none other than the Golden Monkey's impending return. Nature itself had thrown a surprise party, complete with the furry hand entrance. From the abyss emerged the Golden Monkey, transformed into a massive titan brimming with overwhelming spiritual power. His eyes burned with hatred as it fixed its gaze on Sigma, unleashing a devastating burst of spiritual energy that seemed to tear through the very fabric of the desert. Caught completely off guard by this surge of might, Sigma struggled desperately to dodge the towering columns of energy. In that electrifying moment, it became unmistakably clear that the Golden Monkey's transformation marked not a mere change in form, but the true beginning of its long-awaited vengeance. Set stood alone in the red sand beneath a cold, indifferent sky, his isolation made even more palpable by the arid expanse stretching endlessly before him. Sweat streamed down his face as he froze in disbelief, unable to comprehend the barren stillness where he had once expected to absorb a surge of spiritual energy. Instead, he found nothing. No pulse, no glimmer, nothing but the haunting emptiness where the once prominent gates of hell had stood. The souls that had dwelled within had vanished, leaving everything completely drained of the essence that once powered this unholy domain. With no alternative in sight, Set realized that the only path forward was to move ahead into the unknown. Careful, bro, we don't want you to lose Wi-Fi. Not far off, thick smoke billowed up from Crocodile City, blanketing the landscape in a suffocating haze. In the distance, two enormous glowing eyes emerged from the murk, narrowing slowly as a set of razor-sharp fangs came into view. In a dramatic transformation that seemed straight out of legend, the Golden Monkey morphed into a massive muscle-bound beast. Its body was as solid as rock, its claws as sharp as daggers, and it radiated an overwhelming spiritual energy that made the very ground tremble beneath its feet. The force of its passage sent small creatures scattering, and in one particularly surreal moment, Badger was flung into the air only to be spectacularly saved by a wild boar. Dew came in like a white knight saving his damsel in distress, Sim. As chaos reigned, the Golden Monkey continued its relentless advance, leaving devastation in its wake. A column of smoke shot up from the ground, signaling that something ominous was rising from the abyss. High above, Sigma ascended, battered and on the verge of collapse. His crimson eyes still glowed with a determined fury despite the pain, even though he couldn't quite piece together what had gone so terribly wrong. The swirling dust obscured his vision, yet the sheer magnitude of the spiritual energy in the air was unmistakable. Before Sigma could even gather his thoughts, a golden streak of light struck him with brutal force, sending him hurtling across several mountain ranges. As if that wasn't enough, the golden hand descended, shoving him further into the earth until his body was nearly crushed by the overwhelming pressure. Regrouping quickly, the Golden Monkey stepped back with a calculated air, preparing for its next move while Sigma's form underwent a drastic and ghastly transformation. Veins protruded from his skin as fury ignited within him. Not just any anger, but the kind born of deep regret for his own hesitation. Determined now more than ever, Sigma vowed to kill the Golden Monkey, his resolve fueled by every ounce of his remaining pride. The battle resumed in earnest. Sigma launched an attack with his deadly claws, only for the Golden Monkey to anticipate the strike and counter with a devastating blow. The initial assault was met with a perfect block, and the Golden Monkey moved in for the decisive strike, its fist slamming into Sigma's stomach and sending him curling through the air, his control utterly shattered. Refusing to succumb without a fight, Sigma unleashed a barrage of deadly projectiles that grew in size and ferocity, each one aimed with singular focus at the towering beast. The Golden Monkey, however, observed the onslaught with a calm and measured gaze, its wings unfurling gracefully as it blocked the attack with ease. Sigma's final hope of victory crumbled as the beast neutralized his every move. The Golden Monkey's powerful wings flapped with such force that they sent Sigma tumbling back, his continued attacks proving futile against an opponent who remained as unyielding as ever. In the ensuing chaos, Sigma's form was slowly crushed by the relentless blows, his energy gradually drained until he was left weakened and barely able to stand. Womp womp lil bro. In a final, desperate gambit, Sigma gathered what little strength he had left and launched one last attack, hoping to turn the tide. The Golden Monkey responded with merciless efficiency, tearing through Sigma's defense and even using its beak to disrupt his final assault. In that crushing moment, Sigma's last efforts proved utterly futile as the overwhelming might of the Golden Monkey swept him away. As the battle drew to its grim conclusion, Badger and the wild boar retreated to safety, their departure a silent acknowledgement of the beast's unstoppable power. Sigma fell from the sky, crashing to the ground with devastating force until his body lay lifeless, defeated beyond any hope of recovery. The golden monkey stood victorious amidst the ruin, its final blow having crushed Sigma's form once and for all, marking the end of a brutal confrontation that would be remembered for its sheer, unrelenting might. The golden monkey, wreathed in raw energy, shattered Sigma's shield in a single devastating blow, engulfing him in a force so overwhelming it seemed to rend the very fabric of reality. Sigma's scream tore through the battlefield, pure agony as his body felt like it was being burned alive. As the attack faded, the battlefield revealed a grotesque horror. A wild boar's head fused onto a long, snake-like body, its dead eyes unblinking in the chaos. Sigma staggered, bloodied, barely standing, but even on the verge of collapse, he wasn't finished. Summoning every last ounce of strength, he slashed 3 searing waves of green energy at the golden monkey. The beast blocked them with ease, but even the minor wounds were enough to push it past rage and into something far worse: absolute fury. Sigma, knowing full well that retreat was not an option, did the unthinkable. He charged forward, taking a brutal punch in exchange for proximity, and with a monstrous snap of his jaws, he tore into the beast's chest. Blood gushed forth as the golden monkey howled in pain, his body thrashing in a futile attempt to shake him off. But Sigma had anticipated this. His spiked armor latched onto the beast's flesh, locking them together in a deadly embrace. With relentless tenacity, Sigma coiled his tail around the golden monkey's wings, binding them tightly. He bled from every wound, but his eyes burned with a savage determination. Declaring the fight far from over, he unleashed a barrage of fangs tearing through the beast's flesh. Blood splattered as Sigma alternated between vicious bites and energy attacks, each strike more brutal than the last. Buddy is like a pit bull on steroids. A final scarlet beam lanced through the air, piercing the golden monkey's defenses. On the sidelines, Badger and the boar stood frozen in fear, the grim realization sinking in. This plan was, to put it lightly, an absolute dumpster fire of an idea. But before Sigma could press his advantage, his assault came to a jarring halt. A hand, massive, unyielding, clamped his jaws shut. Sigma's gaze snapped upward, locking onto the golden monkey's glowing eyes. Terror surged through him as the beast had somehow moved unnoticed, its presence now towering over him like an executioner savoring the moment before the final strike. He tried to speak, to curse, to defy, but the grip was unrelenting. And then, the real nightmare began. With an impossible stretch, the golden monkey's mouth opened wide, revealing writhing, snake-like heads hidden within. They lunged, sinking their fangs into Sigma's tail, shredding through muscle and bone with sickening efficiency. His body was being torn apart, and for the first time, the thought crept in. He might actually die here. The beast taunted him, its hunger palpable, reveling in the anticipation of devouring his very soul. One of its heads dripped with a venom so potent Sigma could feel his very existence tremble. But instead of succumbing to terror, he did the only thing left to him. He laughed defiantly, hysterically spitting out his final proclamation: the Divine One would only grow stronger. But his words barely left his mouth before the beast's fangs sank in, tearing him to shreds. His laughter twisted into something unhinged, a sound that echoed through the battlefield until it was silenced entirely, devoured piece by piece as Badger and the boar stood paralyzed in absolute horror. Awe. Are the itty-bitty babies gonna pee your pants? Man up, dude. The air itself seemed to choke on the sheer brutality of the moment. Blood filled the space where Sigma had stood, an ending so savage it left even the most hardened warriors struggling to process what they had just witnessed. Then, as if the world itself demanded balance, the sigil stone flared to life. Its glow pulled the monstrous heads back inside the golden monkey, forcing the beast into submission. A whirlwind lifted the creature, flinging it across the battlefield before it crashed down with an earth-shaking impact. And then, silence. Next time on Dragon Ball Z, not just kidding, we still hear. The once mighty golden monkey, now smaller than the sigil stone, tumbled to the ground. The impact sent a thunderous echo across the battlefield. And somewhere, watching unseen, an unknown figure observed the carnage, puzzled by Sigma's death. The gods themselves reeled at the news. Their commander, ever calculating, explained what some had already begun to suspect: Sigma's death had not weakened them. Instead, it had strengthened the surviving gods. A tall figure bathed in power acknowledged the grim truth. Sigma's sacrifice had been useful. Yet, despite this newfound strength, a warning was issued: underestimate the golden monkey at your own peril. The gods, for all their power, found themselves unnerved by the brutal reality that a single beast had felled Sigma. Meanwhile, the monkey's allies, battered and weary, hurried to its side, their concern growing as they nudged its now tiny form, willing it to stir. But time did not allow for grief. The war could not wait. Their mission to attack the Tree of Life had to begin immediately. The Tree of Life convened, its grand design nearly complete. Only Zam's territory remained unclaimed, its lands now overrun by the exotic tree. A tense silence filled the gathering as their god flinched ever so slightly, feigning ignorance of the encroachment. The invasion of the blue planet could no longer wait. Urgency had forced their hand. Energy stones, gathered from their relentless conquests, were distributed among the exotic tree's subordinates. The gods, impassive as ever, listened as their leader issued a chilling command: launch an all-out assault on the exotic tree's territory. Even if the entire force was obliterated, the sacrifice would serve a greater purpose. His piercing gaze sent shivers down the spines of those present as he turned the subject to the missing energy stones. No mistakes would be tolerated. Every last fragment had to be accounted for, ensuring a seamless transition for the great Emperor's arrival. One by one, the gods affirmed their loyalty. The god of illusions, the god of nature, and the god of war among them. We really got a bargain sale for gods over here before GTA 6. Far from this gathering of deities, the city of Baihui buzzed with an unusual level of activity. A minor commotion had broken the day's tranquility, drawing curious eyes toward a seemingly unremarkable tree. But within its hollow, a golden light pulsed. Peering inside, onlookers gasped. The golden monkey lay motionless, his body healed but his spirit locked in an unrelenting coma. Outside, Badger and Boar kept an unyielding vigil, their exhaustion plain. Badger bore wounds he had yet to treat, but neither he nor Boar dared leave their post. Junshi, observing their silent distress, could offer little beyond words of comfort. The golden monkey's strength was said to rival that of the Emperor Crocodile, yet something within him remained fractured. Chaotic energy swirled in his core, resisting all attempts at restoration. Junshi held onto the life essence left by her master, but it was powerless against this affliction. Only the golden monkey's true master could restore him now. Oh, so like Super Saiyan God Super Saiyan, but with Kaioken. Seriously, what were they thinking with this form name? Beyond Baihui, the atmosphere crackled with urgency. Wei and a team of scientists worked feverishly to reactivate the tunneling device. The catastrophe in gigantic Crocodile City had forced them into overdrive, accelerating their efforts. Then, without warning, the blinding green light flared within the machine, an eerie glow forming the shape of a colossal pupil. The device was now fully functional on both ends. As the light dimmed, two chimpanzees and a bald-headed scientist from Force City stumbled out. Disoriented, behind them, waves of displaced citizens emerged, their faces etched with fear and relief. One muttered about having thought they'd be lost forever. Once the last refugee stepped through, the machine shut down abruptly, an ominous finality settling over the group. Wei wasted no time. A head count confirmed all were accounted for, and orders were issued. The refugees would be temporarily resettled in First City and Nine Tails City. Rebuilding would come later. For now, survival took precedence. The Fourth City's fall had been a harbinger of war, but the counterattack was already in motion. Across the outskirts, tremors of battle shook the land. Though Lat Dak had yet to deploy in full force, the skirmishes showed no sign of abating. Monsters from the outer rings continued their relentless assault, forcing the exotic beasts into a ceaseless struggle. At the front lines, the lords of the 2nd and 5th cities personally led the charge. The Golden Ant and Bull Demon, an unlikely pair, fought as a devastating duo. With gravity-shifting powers and a blazing warhammer, the Bull Demon tore through the enemy ranks, while the Golden Ant struck with lethal precision. Side by side, they waded through the battlefield, unrelenting. The Bull Demon grumbled about the endless waves of enemies, crushing them underfoot, while the Golden Ant's precise strikes painted the ground in crimson. It must be that time of the month for Bro. Despite their efforts, the War God's forces found themselves gradually pushed to the outskirts. A massive demon beast emerged, barking orders to hold the line. The battlefield echoed with a deafening roar as the demon beasts and city lords clashed once more. But if the enemy sought victory through sheer numbers, they had gravely underestimated the Bull Demon. With a battle cry that shook the heavens, he charged, and behind him surged an army of battle-ready ants. The sight stunned the demon beast commander, who had not anticipated the silent swarm lurking in the shadows. For every 10 demon beasts that fell, only one exotic beast of Misty Mountain perished. The enemy commander, battered and desperate, realized too late that survival was no longer an option. With cold finality, the Golden Ant lifted its upper skull with a single hand, demanding to know why the demon beasts continued their assault. The creature hesitated, knowing that its answer meant life or death. When no response came, the Golden Ant delivered its judgment, swift and merciless. But the battle was far from over. A crushing presence descended upon the battlefield, exuding an aura of overwhelming dread. Both the Golden Ant and Bull Demon turned, sensing the new threat. From the mist emerged a beast unlike any before, massive, radiating intense spiritual energy. Without hesitation, the Golden Ant launched forward, prepared to face this next trial. Elsewhere, Ching Chang barely had time to catch his breath before another wave of demon beasts surged toward the city gates. Jingxi stood beside him atop the fortress walls, surveying the endless horde. Word of 4th City's destruction had spread, but their city was built for construction, not war. Unlike the other city lords, they had yet to deploy forces beyond the walls. Now, under direct siege, Qing's patience snapped. Why were so many demon beasts attacking at once? Bro looking at me like I know the answer. He had yet to realize the enemy's true strategy, multiple attack squads, striking in tandem across several cities. Then, as if to deepen the mystery, a thunderous crack split the sky. A void, pitch black as night itself, yawned open. From its depths, an abyssal darkness spread like an infection, shifting the very landscape into a battlefield. A swift shadow tore across the violet sky, racing toward its destination. Upon arrival, it bowed to its eldest sister, delivering grave news. The nine-tailed fox, hovering above, issued an urgent call to arms. Crocodile City was in danger. If even the mighty Emperor Crocodile was in distress, the crisis was beyond dire. Before anyone could react, a dark figure emerged. The elder brother of the panda, still entrenched in seclusion training, stepped forward. The gaping void loomed behind him, a silent enigma. No creatures emerged, yet its spiritual energy felt utterly foreign. Ching Chang frowned, contemplating its meaning. Was this connected to their master? Rumors had spread, whispers of their master's ascension to rank 6 on Dragon Island. If so, was this disturbance part of that celestial shift? As the 4th city lay in ruins, the Emperor Crocodile had wasted no time. He had arrived in 1st City, assuming the nine-tailed fox's role as its guardian. Alongside his most trusted warriors, he examined the tunneling devices, fully aware of their importance. The divine beings would come for them. They had to be protected at all costs. What a protective mommy. Yu, standing at his side, nodded. The trials ahead would only grow more treacherous. Yet amidst the chaos, a singular truth emerged. The exotic beasts of Misty Mountain had repelled the divine invaders. And more importantly, the golden monkey had slain a god, being a reminder of the power that lurked within the Misty Mountain beasts. Yuba clenched his fists. They could no longer rely on their master or the 10 great beasts forever. The burden now fell upon them. As if echoing his thoughts, the Emperor Crocodile's voice rang in his mind to make the necessary preparations. After all, the next battle would determine the fate of the Earth itself. Panic rippled through Yu's subordinates as the Sixth City's transmission revealed something that left them scrambling for answers. Emperor Crocodile leaned in, his usual air of dominance momentarily subdued by the sight before him. Lin Feng standing beneath a sky devoured by void. The image was unsettling, and for the first time in a long while, the Emperor found himself at a loss for words. Yu, however, had seen something like this before. Memories of the elf tribe's invasion in the Freedom Federation resurfaced, but she remained composed. She knew Emperor Crocodile would put the pieces together soon enough, and he did. As the realization settled in his gaze, his enemy's arrival wasn't some random act of fate, it had been orchestrated. Say psych right now, lil bro. Then came the reports, each one worse than the last. The void wasn't isolated to the Sixth City. The Second, Third, and Fifth cities all bore the same anomaly. And just as the thought of the Command City surfaced, as if answering their silent fears, the sky above them split open. Shards of unknown origin rained down as the void manifested over every city. Yet the one hovering above the Command City remained eerily still. And then, from its vast, abyssal depths, an enormous eye blinked into existence, gazing down upon them. Yu's instincts flared. This was no mere rift. This was a being, something beyond comprehension, and it carried an aura so suffocating it sent waves of unease through every soul present. Reports flooded in from the Huaxia Federation and the Freedom Federation, detailing similar phenomena. Meanwhile, superhumans from all over, 4 from the Huaxia Federation, 3 from Hasa, stood below their respective voids, watching, waiting. Shelling's sharp eyes caught movement above. A black mass slithered from the void, descending like liquid night. The superhumans braced for an invasion, expecting an elven army. What they got was something far worse. Mass slammed into the earth with a force that sent tremors rippling through the ground. A sickening tide of darkness unfurled, consuming everything in its wake. Then, from its depths, something began to rise. A towering figure, its form shifting and writhing as if it had no true shape. The godlike entity, draped in a thick, viscous substance, radiated an unmistakable energy, one that sent even the battle-hardened warriors into defensive stances. This substance better not be white. Shelling scowled. This wasn't just an enemy, this was a force of nature. And then the real nightmare began. Purple patches within the mass split open, birthing grotesque beasts that wasted no time in surging forward, roaring their commands. As they charged, the godlike figure remained above, watching with an unreadable gaze. But this wasn't an isolated event. A second figure had emerged in the Sixth City, standing completely still as if merely observing the chaos. Lin Feng, despite his usual resolve, found himself overwhelmed. The sheer power emanating from the entity was suffocating, unlike anything he had faced before. His mind raced. What exactly was this thing? Nearby, a rat attempted to strike one of the beasts, only to be obliterated on impact. Nah, if rats start dropping like flies, I am saying nope and doing a big U-turn out of there. Bai Mu, unfazed, snapped at Lin Feng to stay focused, reminding him that hesitation meant death. Below, the horde of beasts moved with unsettling coordination, emboldened by their godlike master. The aura was disturbingly familiar to Lin Feng, mirroring something he had encountered before. Bai Mu stressed the importance of remembering the gods' names whenever they were facing. Their identities held weight. Then, Jiang Yi pointed skyward, noting that another presence had arrived. A black-robed figure emerged from the void, but unlike the others, this one was different. It was empty, as if its very existence defied form. And then, without warning, it turned and fled. Confusion spread through the ranks. Why was it running? Lin Feng and Jiang He exchanged glances, the same question hanging between them. Meanwhile, Bai Mu rushed forward with urgency, as reports indicated gods were appearing everywhere. In the third city, the White Tiger found itself face to face with one of these beings, but neither moved. In the Freedom Federation, another god stood, waiting as if anticipating a signal. Smoke coiled into the sky from the second city, where a massive black pillar loomed ominously, glowing eyes flickering within its depths. Hours later, the fifth city lay in ruin. The bodies of misty mountain beasts littered the streets. A god stood atop a rock, surveying the scene with dissatisfaction. With a casual wave, it summoned intricate blue circles, chanting in a language unknown to mortal ears. A pillar of blue light descended, birthing a triangular object, one eerily similar to the artifact in the second city. The god's satisfaction was evident. Oh great, they've got Wi-Fi now. Bros are cooked. Then from the sky, a pink streak cut through the air, striking the god with force enough to send it reeling. The precision of the attack narrowed down the suspects. Only Golden Ant or Zillin could have managed such a strike. As if confirming it, Zillin lunged, delivering a devastating punch. But the god's body morphed in response, unraveling into writhing tentacles. One of them lashed out, coiling around Zillin's arm with unnatural speed. The god, unfazed, questioned the whereabouts of his subordinates. Zillin, ever the provocateur, responded with a casual remark, suggesting they might already be dead. The audacity was almost admirable, taunting a literal god mid-battle. Meanwhile, standing among the heaps of slain beasts, the mantis remained still, its deadly work already done. And so, as the battlefield descended further into chaos, the gods continued their advance, the war escalating into something far beyond mere mortal conflicts. The battlefield, a chaotic mess of blood and ambition, saw the mantis at the center of it all, casually dismissing its subordinates by carving through lesser worms and centipedes. With a motion as effortless as it was final, it left a trail of victims behind, standing before the octopus deity, their fatal wounds a testament to its merciless precision. The octopus deity, unbothered by the overwhelming spiritual energy in the air, processed the unfolding events in an instant. It was accustomed to such arrogance, yet the mantis dared to challenge it nonetheless, standing tall where others cowered. The deity's glare darkened, impatience seeping into its godly demeanor. This fight needed to end swiftly. Sensing its moment, the mantis shifted into its second battle form, its body now radiating sharp, green energy. It had prepared for this confrontation in the void, biding its time, sharpening its strength. Confident, perhaps even prophetic, it declared that the octopus deity's death was inevitable. Yep, I stand corrected. Furries either love this series or absolutely hate it. Meanwhile, Zillin, exhausted and winded from delivering urgent news, raced away from the island. He barely made it to the city's border before shouting for Bull Demon and Golden Ant, warning them that divine beings had emerged from the void. Golden Ant, ever the strategist, hesitated. Without their ruler, the city was exposed, vulnerable. Zillin confirmed their fears, revealing that Sigma was holding the line, but the other mutant beasts were far too weak. Worse still, the second city had already fallen. Bull Demon, stubborn as ever, roared in defiance, refusing to abandon the battlefield just as the demonic beasts surged forward in a relentless tide of fangs and claws. The sky, painted red with battle, offered no salvation. Just as the tension thickened, the Ice Bear tribe approached, their presence a reassuring counter to the oncoming chaos. Their leader, Zhu Win, wasted no time, declaring that they would not let the enemy pass. The second city, now a towering wooden altar, pulsed with divine energy, overseen by the ancient tree of life. War god Zam arrived. His loyal forces, demonic beasts, mutant warriors, and even surviving goblins gathered for battle. As he commanded them to halt the ambushing creatures, the war drums pounded, echoing a signal of impending carnage. Among the warriors, a green-haired fighter wielding massive stone clubs was mistaken for a goblin, a mistake Zam corrected once he realized the second city had become an altar, a symbol of something far worse. Adding to the absurdity, a muscular kangaroo, of all things, led a savage shaman tribe into battle. Somewhere, an Australian must have shed a single tear of pride. You, watching, could hardly believe that the kangaroo had managed to command submission from the shaman warriors, but the beast's sharp gaze made it clear it ruled through sheer force of will. Despite the unexpected players in the war, Zam dismissed the kangaroo, seeing it as nothing more than an earthly animal, unfit for true war. The tiger faction, paying no mind to such trivialities, charged ahead, throwing themselves into brutal combat with the demonic beasts. Elsewhere, White Tiger carried Shao Lam in rapid circles around the towering black pillar. Using the eye of mystic insight, she scanned it, quickly realizing it was absorbing energy from the ground and redistributing it. While its purpose remained uncertain, one truth became clear. This was dangerous. Acting swiftly, she commanded White Tiger to unleash a blast at the pillar. The result? A mere shimmer on the surface, the structure standing as untouched as ever. Undeterred, Shao Lam urged White Tiger to try again, her third eye glowing with intensity. This time, the beast channeled twice the energy, releasing a devastating attack, only for it to be intercepted, nullifying both White Tiger's power and the pillar's defense. From above, a god overseeing the second city intervened, mocking their feeble efforts, dripping with condescension as he sneered at the white cats. Dude looking at them like they are oversized house pet. I mean, is he wrong though? Shao Lam, grinding her teeth, understood that brute force wouldn't be enough. She needed to find a weakness. Meanwhile, across Azure Star, battles erupted in every corner. The Cal region found itself besieged by an airborne assault from the Elf Queen's forces. Regrouped and refocused, the elves retaliated, unleashing a relentless storm of arrows on human artillery. Their superior mobility gave them an edge, causing heavy damage to central district buildings. The Elf Queen, never one to leave things to chance, ordered her forces to prepare the Skyfall Ballista, a massive wooden war machine, aimed directly at the artillery towers. When released, its gigantic arrows streaked through the sky with devastating force. 3 direct hits, and the entire artillery structure would crumble. As the city's defenses wavered, Wei stepped forward, extending his hand and issuing a single command. That is, everyone is returned to sender. The arrows, as if obeying a higher law, reversed midair, soaring back toward the ballista and slamming into the elven army. In the blink of an eye, they found themselves buried under their own weapons. The Elf Queen, stunned, could only watch as her once mighty force crumbled. With her primary attack strategy shattered, her warriors stood vulnerable. Watching from the sidelines, the dwarven army, clad in heavy armor and riding muscular antelopes, saw their opportunity. With laughter rumbling through their ranks, they surged forward, eager to capitalize on the elves' failure. Their commander gave the order and the cavalry charged. Yet, in their eagerness, they overlooked one fatal flaw: the shadows. Lurking within them was Emperor Crocodile, waiting with the patience of a predator. With one devastating swipe, he struck down the dwarves, their charge interrupted by brutal reality. Caught off guard, they realized far too late the mistake of invading Central City. Zam, watching the chaos unfold, dismissed the dwarves' theatrics. The war raged on as the Tiger faction roared into action once more, their vanguard clashing violently with the demonic beasts. The bloodshed had only just begun. What a saga, if we do say so ourselves.